What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, there is another quote from DeMar DeRozan. He seems to be saying a lot of things as of late that I want to talk about today, and it's about the confusion of the Chicago Bulls and whether or not the Bulls are really a confusing team. Now, of course, this is a perfectly fitted video in the sense that we just beat the Minnesota Timberwolves and we won the season series over them, which is the best team in the Western Conference at this point in time, yet we've lost twice to the Pistons, we've lost to the Wizards, we've lost to a whole bunch of very mediocre teams. So are the Bulls confusing? Well, of course, we have to take a deeper dive into some of the elements that they could be confusing at and some elements where we might not be that confusing at. But before we get any further, if you liked the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and whether or not you believe the Bulls are truly a very confusing team. Now, first and foremost, we must read the quote. Because again, there are certain elements of our game or even our team, even on the outside of the court, that could be deemed confusing. And then there are some elements that are truly not confusing at all. So let's get started. DeMar DeRozan said this after the victory against the Minnesota Timberwolves. When we lose the games where Twitter goes crazy on us and says we're the most confusing team, it's definitely frustrating because that's not us. So basically, DeMar DeRozan is coming out and saying to all the Twitterverse out there that, you know, has social media, I guess I'm involved in that as well, even though I'm not using Twitter, but YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, they're all the same at the end of the day. They're all social media. Everybody uses them. Everybody partakes in them. So at the end of the day, I'm assuming I'm involved in that way, in one way, form, or fashion. He's saying to us that this Bulls team is not confusing, at least from his own point of view. And that's the first thing I need to say. This is his opinion. So I'm not going to say his opinion is wrong. Because at the end of the day, confusion is in the mind. It's in the mind of everybody. You can find something confusing while someone else will find something not that confusing. So I'm not going to tell him that he's wrong. The best that I could do is give my opinion on the situation and we go from there, ladies and gentlemen. So we need to talk about what type of confusion is he probably referring to. And the only thing I can think of, as he is a Bulls player and not necessarily part of the Bulls front office or Bulls fandom, he's talking about his play on the court. And I'll be honest, the last place that I find the Bulls confusing is on the basketball court. And I'll tell you why. You might say, well, how could you say something like that? We've lost to the Pistons and the Washington Wizards. We've lost to really bad teams. We've come close to losing to really bad teams. We've absolutely choked some big games that we should be winning. We could lose to Atlanta tomorrow. That'd be really confusing when that's a massively important game. And that, for some, will lead to confusion. The reason why I don't find that confusing is because we've experienced that over the last 3 seasons. When the Lonzo Ball injury happened and the Zach LaVine injury happened in that first season, we lost to a lot of very good and very bad teams. The second season, aka last season, was pretty much the exact same as this season. We lost to a lot of teams that we should have been beating, and we beat some teams that you have no business beating. That's the Bulls. We saw that last season. Maybe last season this would bring some confusion, but you keep the same team around, the same results are going to happen. You lose to teams that you should not be losing to, should not even be in the conversation to lose to, and produce some really horrible performances, and then you go and beat the best. If I've seen it last season, I don't personally think I can say this season that that's all of a sudden confusion. I've said it for the past 3 seasons. We are consistently inconsistent. Inconsistency does not mean confusion, in my opinion. We've had people in the chat for the watch-along saying it's such a Bulls thing to do, to lose to the Wizards and lose to the Nets with all those injuries and then go and beat Minnesota. That's the Bulls. We're not confusing. In fact, it's never been more clear in my life what we are as a team. And that's why changes need to be made to get that consistency back into the team in one way, form, or fashion. But that leads to other areas of confusion. The front office, their decision making. I find that very confusing as well. Because there's always a question in the back of my mind about this front office. What did they see last year that was worth preserving and keeping the continuity of the team? That's a confusing element to me. I may have understood it at the time, but hindsight is a beautiful thing, and I've completely lost track of understanding of why they kept this team the same. And we're probably going to be getting into this upcoming season expecting changes. And we'll have to wait and see if they deliver on that. But keeping the team the same from the front office standpoint, to me, is a little bit of confusion. Why would they do such a thing? What does the 10th seed really bring to the table? Did we really get better as a team? I'll have to make a video about that another time, about the successes of the Bulls just as much as the failures. But this entire season in general, as the 9th-seeded team that's on track to have a worse record than when we finished 10th last season, that's an element of confusion to me. But that confusion is not based on the style of play, not based on the players. That's more based on the front office. And I still think the coaching staff brings an element of confusion. You know, what causes a player to kind of get into the game for a lot of minutes and produce and then not be seen again? I'll give you an example. Onrelu Batim, a youngster, a rookie, a guy that can produce on his best and disappear at his worst. But at the end of the day, we gave him an opportunity. He did well in his opportunities. Then some games he struggled and we've not seen him since. To me, that's an element of confusion. How is any player going to trust a coaching staff or trust an organization to give you your best if you can't even see the court when the 1 second or the one game or the 2 games that you don't play well? That's a bit frustrating to me as well. That's always an element of confusion right there. And again, it's not like we have that much to play for. We're the play-in tournament. We're the team that plays them starters the most minutes in the entire league. And yet we're still the 9th seed. So you're telling me no opportunities can come for youngsters that can really make a difference in the long run because we're focusing so heavily minded on the short term and the play-in tournament that we're focusing on that more than anything. To me personally, that brings confusion. That's a coaching staff issue. But the style of play has always been the style of play. I mean, I guess if you want to really take a deeper dive into the confusion side of things, the preseason was a place where we saw the Bulls really move the ball and the player movement was very, very prevalent. It looked like a completely different new style of play. You fast forward all the way to the end of March and the beginning of April. By the way, it's April 1st for a lot of you guys out there. Happy April Fool's Day. I'm not going to make the joke that I had in mind. But anyway, whatever the case may be, the style of play has completely reverted back to last season in my eyes, where it's a lot of I guess isolation, a lot of one guy doing the dribbling in a pick and roll and no one moving without the ball. That's exactly what we saw last season. That's not confusion, but maybe the preseason confused a lot of us, I guess. I don't know what it is, but my confusion doesn't lie with the Bulls losing to the Wizards, Pistons, and then beating Minnesota. That's not where my confusion lies. I expect this by now. My confusion isn't necessarily with the style of play. My confusion isn't necessarily with the players. My confusion goes beyond the basketball court. It goes beyond, the X's and O's. It goes beyond DeMar DeRozan scoring a mid-range one game, then missing it the next. My confusion goes to the decision-making of the team and why we make the decisions that we make. And look, I'm not a GM. There's 99.9% of the Bulls fans probably watching this video are not GMs, are not anywhere in the higher-ups for the Bulls that can make decisions. So we will always, even when we're winning, we will always be confused by these elements. But it does bring me an element of confusion to look at what DeMar DeRozan has said, and I can only take it as he's a player. And he's confused by how the team reacts to wins and losses. But to be honest, that's what happened around the league. You lose games, people will come at you. You win games, oh my goodness, it's a brand new day. The Bulls are back. That's how it's always been. But the confusion, for me at least, I'm not a player. I'm not a front office executive. I'm not the coach. I'm not an assistant coach. I'm a guy on the other side of the world recording a Bulls video for the 2,000, subscribers that I do have. And I'm confused. I'm confused with the front office decisions. I'm sometimes confused with the coaching staff and the minutes and how players get respect in one way, then completely go missing the next. Those are the things I'm confused about. Not the wins, not the losses. At this point, if you expected the Bulls to be anything more than where they are right now, you're probably the one that's confused. Because, let's be honest, I think a lot of people predicted us to be in this situation. Maybe a little bit of an improvement from 40 and 42 last season, but not that drastically to the point where we're saying this team is a brand new team. But look, I think everybody gets confused every now and then. I'm sure I've been in a situation... Look, I said the Bulls were going to finish the 6th or the 7th seed this season. That's confusion right there, because clearly that's not where we ended up being. So, yeah, it's tough to really give a direct answer because there's a lot more that goes into what is confusion for the Bulls. But what do you guys think? What are you confused about with this Bulls team? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Drop a like and a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And I will see you in the next Bulls related video. There'll be a watch along against the Hawks. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.